Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday, the 16th of May 2024. Executive instructions. A team, including the Defense Secretary and officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, will leave for Russia to look into Sri Lankan war veterans fighting in the Russia-Ukraine war. Streamlining investments. The new economic transformation bill to segregate operations of the Board of Investment.
One, you will create an institution where it will be responsible for international trade and to bring investments to Sri Lanka.
Rejected by judiciary. The court refuses to issue an injunction against Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa from functioning as the SLFP chairman. Neighbourhood business. Indian travellers' boycott of the Maldives is helping Sri Lanka.
More the ARC capacity opens up, that helps us. Sri Lanka has more value when it comes to India, so I think that's one of the reasons.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟම ඇති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9 with Indivadi Amawata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us once again on your primetime English news service here at Derana 24. Let's go straight to your top stories making headlines tonight. State Minister for Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasurya announced that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed a special delegation to be dispatched to Russia in order to investigate the welfare of Sri Lankans residing in Russia amidst the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. The delegation, which is set to include the Secretary to the Ministry of Defense, a former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, as well as representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, will pay particular attention to the Sri Lankans serving as mercenary soldiers on the front lines of the conflict. The State Minister also stated that a high-ranking Sri Lankan diplomat will be sent to Russia in order to better maintain diplomatic ties until the appointment of a permanent Sri Lankan ambassador.
State Minister of Defence Pramita Bandara Tennakon yesterday revealed that a total of 16 Sri Lankans had lost their lives fighting the war between Russia and Ukraine. He also stated that the Ministry of Defence received 288 complaints about Sri Lankan nationals being forced into military service in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. The Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, General Kamal Gunaratne, and the Russian ambassador in Sri Lanka held talks on the issue on the 14th of May, during which the Russian mission agreed to provide a substantive list of Sri Lankan mercenary soldiers fighting on the front lines in Ukraine. Against this backdrop, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasurya today announced that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has also issued directives for a specialized delegation to be dispatched to Russia in order to investigate the welfare of the Sri Lankans engaged in military service in Russia.
Yesterday, the President instructed us to dispatch a special delegation to Russia as soon as possible. Today, we will officially inform the Russian embassy of this intended diplomatic mission. We will request the embassy to arrange the necessary meetings between our delegation and the relevant Russian authorities.
Who will be in the delegation? Certainly the Secretary to the Ministry of Defense will be there, and then a high-ranking official from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, either the Foreign Minister or myself, and a former ambassador, the Director General of Consular Affairs. So it will be a high-powered delegation.
There is no ambassador. Is that also being sorted out?
At the moment, the ambassador who was in Russia, her tenure was finished. I think she had been given 3 extensions also, and then she has been brought back to Sri Lanka. So we intend on sending high-ranking Sri Lankan official, maybe as the charge d'affaires, until a proper ambassador is appointed, just to monitor the situation until the situation comes under control.
ජීවිතේ හැම තැනකදීම ස්මාර්ට් වෙන්න පොලිය විතරක් ගෙවාගෙන යන්න CDB Smart Draft.
Meanwhile, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs also said that the Economic Transformation Bill, which was recently approved by the Cabinet, aims to segregate operations of the Board of Investment into 2 separate offices that will be responsible for international trade and the management of economic zones. He made these comments addressing the same media briefing organised by the President's Media Centre. While highlighting that the bill aims to strengthen the institutional framework, Taraka Balasuriya also said that the provisions of the bill aims to appoint an ambassador for international trade.
Do you have any information on this economic transformation bill, anything more, or are there any targets that we have to keep, or is it, what are any other details on that?
One thing I think, you'll be looking at the institutional framework, and then to strengthen that institutional framework. One area would be, let's say, the BOI will be brought under a different bill, and let's say the operations of the BOI will be divided. One, you will create an institution where it will be responsible for international trade and to bring investments to Sri Lanka. The second part of it is the special economic zones. A separate unit will be created in order to manage the special economic zones, and there will also be an ambassador appointed in charge of international trade, and an office for international trade will be separately created. So the functionality of the institutional framework is better designed. So one will be concentrating on bringing investments to Sri Lanka, and they've been given wide powers such as advising the minister on certain policies and also certain incentives in the special economic zone. And another section will be given in order to manage the special economic zones which are already in existence, and also the private sector too will be encouraged to start their own special economic zones, such as in the neighboring countries.
Now taking you to some tragic news. A 16-year-old girl who sustained severe injuries following the tragic accident during the Fox Hill Supercross 2024 Motorsport Racing Championship succumbed to her injuries last night. On the 21st of April, an unexpected tragedy during the Fox Hill Supercross Championship. The racing event in Diathalava claimed the lives of 7 and left 23 others injured. The accident occurred after a race car reportedly veered off the track. 4 persons out of the 7 deceased were lane makers of the racetrack, while 2 others were spectators. An 8-year-old child was also among the 7 victims. Immediate measures were taken to rush the injured to the Diathalava base hospital for medical treatment at the time of the accident. The schoolgirl succumbed to her injuries last night while receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Badulla General Hospital. This brings the death toll of the Fox Hill tragedy to 8. The Diathalava police are conducting further investigations, while the Sri Lanka Army has also launched a separate internal investigation into the accident. The Columbo District Court rejected a case filed by national organiser of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Duminda Dissanayake, requesting the court to issue an interim injunction preventing Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Kirti Udawatta from functioning as chairman and acting general secretary, respectively. The order was rejected by the court due to technical errors in the case. However, the petition was resubmitted by Dissanayake, and the court ordered the case to be heard on Monday.
On the 12th of May, Sri Lanka Freedom Party faction supporting former President Maithripala Sirisena held a meeting and appointed Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa as the party's new chairman. This development came following the former president's resignation as party chairman. Further, Attorney-at-Law Kirti Udawatta was appointed the party's acting general secretary by the faction of Maithripala Sirisena. However, the party national organizer Duminda Dissanayake filed a case against the appointments at the Columbo District Court, requesting an order to be issued against Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Kirti Udawatta from functioning as the chairman and the acting general secretary, respectively. When the case was taken up for hearing this morning, the court, which highlighted that the case consisted of technical errors, refused to issue an interim injunction as requested by the plaintiff. However, the Columbo District Court judge said plaintiff Duminda Dissanayake can fix the technical errors and refile his case with the court again. Hours after the decision, steps were taken by Duminda Dissanayake to rectify the errors and refile the same case before the Columbo District Court. The Columbo District Court ordered the case to be heard on Monday.
There has to be no reason for the other members to have a rift with me. All of them said they were unable to work with the former chairman. The former chairman was humble enough to resign from his position. He took that decision by taking the party's future into account.
Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is a member who represents the cabinet along with us. There were accusations levelled against us for representing the government. However, no one can level that accusation against us anymore. Definitely we will. We need his support to strengthen the party. We do not want to create conflicts.
Meanwhile, a former executive member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Montiko Sarachandra, has filed a complaint with the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption against former President Maithripala Sirisena. Through his complaint, Sarachandra says he suspects that the former president paid compensation to the victims of the Easter Sunday terror attacks with funds obtained from the transfer of Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
පහුගිය 12 වෙනිදා විධායක සභාවක් තියලා මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්තයා පක්ෂයෙන් ඉල්ලා අස්වැලා සභාපතිකමෙන්
On May 12th, Maithripala Sirisena held a meeting and resigned from the party chairmanship. He then appointed a new chairman. The following day, there was a newspaper article circulating saying that he paid 28 million rupees as compensation for the victims of the Easter Sunday attacks during the past few days. Recently, Sirisena said he will have to beg in PETA to find money to settle the compensation. I have a suspicion that he found that amount by selling the party. As a result, I lodged a complaint with the Bribery Commission to investigate how he obtained those funds to settle the compensation.
මම අල්ලස් කොමිසමට අද පැමිණිල්ලක් ඉදිරිපත් කරුවා මේ සල්ලි හම්බුනේ කොහෙන්ද කියන එක හොයන්න.
Now, the three-day strike action initiated by the Grama Niladhari Trade Union Alliance ended today following a meeting with the Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, the union said that further trade union action will be announced in the coming days if government fails to respond to their demands. Meanwhile, university and non-academic staff, government executives and health trade unions continued their strike action today.
The Grama Niladhari Trade Union Alliance met the Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs as the three-day strike comes to an end. Officers said the ministry had taken a decision regarding the salary scale issue but demands amendments to the Public Service Constitution to continue forward.
They are going to solve the issues with the salary scale first. They have taken a decision, but the ministry is saying they can't pass it on to the trade unions yet. It should go through the administrative department, then to the Public Service Commission before coming to us. Since we have not been informed officially yet, we are unable to trust the decision. We ask the Prime Minister to give us a service constitution that the trade unions can agree to and move forward from here.
Health trade unions have been engaged in token strike action at state hospitals across the Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces during the past few days, demanding an equivalent allowance to the DAT, also known as the Disturbance Availability and Transport Allowance provided to state doctors. Today, strike action was carried out at state hospitals in the southern province. Meanwhile, the strike launched by non-academic staff of state universities continued for the 15th consecutive day.
විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පද්ධතිය තුළ මේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන ගැටලු තවදුරටත් निराකරණය කරන්න නැතුව නිද්‍රාශීලීව සිටිනවා අපේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග කිසිසේත්ම.
The Work to Rule campaign by several government executives over a number of demands continued for the second day today. Accordingly, officials from 18 services have joined the Work to Rule campaign.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe is set to leave for Indonesia on the 8th of May to attend the 10th edition of the World Water Forum, which begins in Bali on the 18th of May. President Wickremesinghe is scheduled to deliver a keynote address articulating Sri Lanka's perspective on achieving equitable access to water resources. President Wickremesinghe is also scheduled to hold bilateral discussions with Indonesian President Joko Widodo on the sidelines of the forum. The World Water Forum is set to take place in Indonesia until the 25th of this month from the 18th on the theme Water for Shared Prosperity. The forum is organized by the World Water Council together with the Indonesian government and will bring together global leaders to address pressing issues related to water management and sustainability. As several parts of the island continue to experience heavy rainfall today, the Allavallavaya road was closed for traffic since 6 p.m. owing to mounds of earth collapsing onto the road. The road is expected to be opened for traffic at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Taking the prevailing inclement weather into consideration, the Department of Meteorology forecasts showers to enhance over the next few days.
Several areas around the island, including parts of the western province, experienced rainfall in the past few days. Mounds of earth collapsed into the Alawalawai road owing to heavy rainfall in the Monragal district and Al area. The Disaster Management Centre said the Alawalawai road will be closed for traffic from 6 p.m. today to 6 a.m. tomorrow. In the meantime, the Kandy railway station was flooded this afternoon following heavy rainfall in the area. Taking the prevailing weather patterns into consideration, the Department of Meteorology says showers and windy conditions are expected to enhance over the next few days.
Showery and windy conditions are expected to enhance during the next few days due to pre-monsoonal conditions over the country and surrounding sea areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matara district. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere of the island after 1 p.m. Heavy showers about 100 mm are likely at some places in the western, central, Sabaragamuwa and Uva provinces. We are requesting our general public kindly take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
Welcome back. We take you to business news now. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando says tourists from Sri Lanka's largest tourist market, India, may have increased due to more Indian tourists boycotting the Maldives. Increased air connectivity with India is also seen as another reason for the growing numbers from the Indian market. He said this while joining an interview with the CNBC Asia Network. However, despite the growing number of tourists from India, the minister said the on-arrival visa issuance debacle in mid-April caused a drop in arrivals during that month.
We have a year-on-year increase of over 103% of tourists from last year to this year, but our target is 2.3. We saw a bit of a dip in April, especially March also we were happy, but April we saw a bit of a dip because the visa was introduced on the 17th of April. There's controversy, there was lots of talk, negativity around the visa. So we're just doing firefighting and damage controlling at the moment, but I'm quite hopeful. Going on a global campaign from the 15th of May with 5 regions, India, China, then the Europe and UK separately, and also the new markets like Australia and Japan that we are considering. So we are doing a global campaign after 15 years.
We're seeing some Indian travelers boycott the Maldives. Do you think Sri Lanka has benefited from this?
It has helped, but Sri Lanka has so much relationship with India, and the connectivity, that is the trigger factor. There are so many airlines that flies into Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan Airlines alone flies 80 times a week into Indian airports. Air India flies, Indigo flies, Alliance Express flies, SpiceJet flies into Sri Lanka. More the air seat capacity opens up, that helps us. Sri Lanka has more value when it comes to India. So I think that's one of the reasons. Probably the Maldives issue is also helping us. But moreover, Sri Lanka is very close with all the Indian travel agents and we work very closely with them.
The predictions on Indian traveling purchasing power in the next decade are quite vast. Do you think this bodes well for Sri Lankan's tourism?
Absolutely. I think the fastest growing economy is India, and Sri Lanka is definitely benefiting out of it. And there's lots of investment Indian companies have done.
Columbo Fort Hotels, with its rebranding as the Fort Resorts, says it plans to invest around 200 million rupees in each of its locations. Managing Director Fort Resorts Limited Amrit Rajaratnam said with the rebranding project, the company seeks to uplift all of its hotel properties. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau Chairman Shalaka Gadapahu said that Sri Lanka is making a great comeback following the continuous crisis the island nation faced in the recent past.
Columbo Fort Hotels, which was rebranded as Fort Resorts, held an event for its local partners recently.
I think in order to understand the change in our brand, it was necessary for us to first understand all of you, our esteemed partners, travel agents, TMCs. Now we have invested and intend to invest almost 200 million rupees in each of our hotel locations, in our interiors, guest amenities and services. We have Club Palm Bay in Maravilla, the #1 ranked all-inclusive resort in Sri Lanka and the 11th in Asia. And in Sigiriya village, you have an icon of the industry which will be undergoing an extensive refurbishment and relaunching in 2025. Fort Resorts is young, exciting and vibrant. The kind of place that any client would be happy to be taken to.
As a facilitator, from a government perspective, Sri Lanka is making a huge comeback. With the struggle that we went through from Easter to the COVID pandemic, then the economic crisis. Today I read an article to say very proud, we are in the top 5 in terms of per capita income in terms of tourism. We have already made $1.25 billion within the first 4 months. That's a huge achievement. We are an all-in-one capsule minus the snow. We are a studio. We have everything that we encapsulate as a brand. So we need to take that message forward. I always say where you can look at the 2 biggest mammals on earth, an elephant and a blue whale within a day. That is Sri Lanka.
The Columbo Stock Exchange closed down in red today with turnover of 1.4 billion rupees. The benchmark all-share price index settled at 12,529.27 and the S&P SL20 index settled 3,633, down 0.08%. High net worth and institutional investor participation was noted in John Keel's Holdings and Haley's Fabric. Mixed interest was observed in the banking sector. Aitken Spence dragged down the market, falling 2.8%, while Richard Pearis and Company and Sampath Bank fell by 3.67% and 0.9% respectively. Meanwhile, foreign investors were net sellers, offloading stocks worth 94 million rupees, while local investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 1.3 billion rupees. In corporate affairs, New Zealand's Fonterra Cooperative Group said that a part of its strategy, the firm plans to fully or partially sell down its Sri Lankan assets in order to exit its retail businesses worldwide. Meanwhile, the Columbo Stock Exchange in a statement said the T+3 method used to settle transactions will be revised from the 10th of June. With that, here's a look at corporate news in brief.
The Chief Executive Officer of Columbo Stock Exchange, Rajiv Bandaranayake, says steps have been taken to revise the T+3 method that has been followed so far for the settlement of Columbo Stock Exchange transactions. In a statement, he said that the T+3 system will be shortened with effect from the 10th of June 2024. Accordingly, the procedure will be reduced to 2 market days from the date of the transaction. CSC said the trades executed on the 10th of June 2024 will be settled on the 12th of June 2024. New Zealand's Fonterra Cooperative Group Limited said it was planning to fully or partially sell down its Sri Lankan assets as part of a strategy to exit its retail businesses worldwide. Its chairman Peter McBride in a statement said that the firm has conducted a strategic review which has reinforced the role of its core business. The firm will continue to provide milk components to other food manufacturers and also to the food service industry. Also, Fonterra will appoint advisors and experts to exit retail businesses in the next 12 to 18 months. Sri Lankan Cargo, the cargo arm of Sri Lankan Airlines, has partnered with Cargo AI in an attempt to enhance its air freight booking and payment processes. The new partnership will enable users to access online booking and instant cross-border payment capabilities while streamlining payment processes by offering multiple payment methods ranging from local transfers to credit card payments.
Well, that's it from us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. I'm Indivari Amuatha. Good night.